Welcome to Agranak Studios. My name's DM Wisdom. Today we're going to be taking a look at Dolmenwood's Winter's Daughter. Hey, if you're into puppets, make sure you watch the latest episode of Dungeons and Puppets. We are on episode 10 right now, and this week I'll be making episode 11, and you can watch the back catalog. It is a passion project. Please go and check that out. What happens when an old school dungeon crawl meets a tragic love story between a mortal and a fey princess? You get Winter's Daughter, a hauntingly beautiful module for old school essentials that plays like Grimm's fairy tales wrapped in a layer of frost. A no-fuss, easy-to-run adventure perfect for new and experienced GMs alike. Written by Gavin Norman and published not only by his company Necrotic Gnome, but also partnered with Exalted Funeral. Art by Mish Scott, which really leans into that fairy tale aesthetic. Not only the cover, but also the interior art. If you've been around the OSR community for very long, you've probably run into a review of this book. But for those of you that haven't, that may be a part of my viewership, you can't go wrong with this adventure. In fact, I think it's one of my favorite adventures of all time, at least top 10. The first thing that happens when you open up is you've got maps, and even on the back cover. For quick reference, you don't need to flip through the pages to find the main maps. Now, the adventure begins in the weird fairy tale campaign setting of Dolmenwood. The adventure begins in the weird fairy tale campaign setting of Dolmenwood, though it would be very easy to adapt it to any setting, even your own homebrew setting. The tone is romantic, eerie, fey-infused. The dungeon isn't just about treasure. It's about love, loss, and the other world, or the fairy, which, for those of you coming from 5e, is the Feywild. This is designed for 1st through 3rd level characters. Table of contents, the introduction, and background for the referee or the game master, in a control panel style, so you're not flipping a lot as you go through the pages. Some awesome artwork splashed throughout. Now, this is a one-shot sort of adventure, and you could probably break it up into 1 or even 2 sessions. Has a clean layout, old school stat blocks, and gorgeous usability. Obviously compatible with old school essentials, but you can play this with basic D&D, and really you could put it into any rule set, even if you're playing 5e. Easy to bring it over, though it would be ridiculously easy for 5e player characters. So it would probably be best used with any OSR style system so that it's not stupidly easy. Now, it does get into some hooks, inheritance hooks, tomb robbers hooks, the common folklore that the players would know about the Cold Prince, Sir Chide, the Cold Prince's defeat, and the death of Sir Chide. Then there's some Dolmenwood lore for those of you that want to use that aesthetic, or obviously if you're using your own world, use that aesthetic. Outside of the mound, now this is right here, outside the mound, has the 4 steps approaching the mound, the Withing Stones, tomb entrance, and wormhole. And what I love about these old school essential adventures that Gavin Norman has put together is that there's no fluff. It's not hand-holding. And I've got thoughts on that. Basically, one of my most viewed videos is the one about why the OSR is better than 5e. And with the 5e adventure, like what I compare in that video, Ravenloft to Halls of the Blood King, which is OSR, Old School Essentials in fact, is that they go on these long diatribe textual descriptions in 5e of Ravenloft, but in Old School Essentials, they are just kind of summed up with some words and some flavor. No text to read out loud. As a newer game master, playing through Curse of Strahd or the original Ravenloft would probably do you well. so that you realize what it means to have description in the middle of the adventure, in the rooms and different places that you might end up. But I am so very much appreciative of these sorts of things where it talks about something. Let's talk about the tomb entrance here. The door, a granite slab, seals the mound, overgrown, covered in lichen and sweet-smelling wild roses. Then it gets into some of the mechanics. Moving the slab requires a cumulative strength bonus of at least 4. Next, breaking the slab takes 6 turns, that's an hour. Cumulative strength bonuses reduce this time, minimum 2 turns. It doesn't go into a paragraph of description and what the sky looks like, the different, trees and the foliage on the ground, what you're feeling, etc. That's up for you as the game master to inform for your players, or inform it as your players ask questions. I love this format as an experienced dungeon master. Once you get through the burial mound and into the actual dungeon itself, which is the map here on the inside cover, we begin to understand that the crypt is more than a dungeon. It's a liminal space between worlds. Magical items are flavorful and rooted in the setting. The encounters here evoke emotional responses, curiosity, awe, and even melancholy. I mean, this is a tragic love story, after all, in the background. Now, coming back here, having played through this, one of our characters, which was a first level wizard, came into the Hall of Guardians, and then the religious objects started floating around and attacking the characters. As you may have guessed, the wizard was killed by a huge holy book that smacked him upside the head, and he took like 3 points of damage. He only had 2, and that was that. We had to bring in a henchman after that for him to play. So if you don't want your wizard to be taken out first thing and first room that you get into, then maybe make this a 2nd or 3rd level adventure. Now, the actual Winter's daughter, the daughter of the Cold Prince, her name is Princess Snowfall at Dusk, which I love that whimsical nature. Really leans into just a wonderful feeling that you don't just get out of many adventures. And she's not just a quest giver or an obstacle. She's central to the story's emotional arc. Now, this is not your typical hack and slash dungeon. There's deep atmosphere, mist, memory, melancholy. Fey elements feel alien and alluring. It's true folklore. It's not Disney by any stretch of the imagination. Now, there's plenty of danger and tension in this 24-page adventure. Now, your players may walk away with their heartstrings being plucked or a sense of wonder instead of just experience points, which I love. What's great is that as you run through, you run into the ghost of Sir Chide, who is trying to be reunited with Princess Snowfall at dusk, but she's stuck in a cold area of Fairy. Now, this is ideal for introducing new players to Old School Essentials or the OSR in general, and easy to slot into a broader Dolmenwood campaign or fairy tale themed arc. And I would say for this adventure, lean into the romance and the melancholy. The fairy creatures they're different. They're not just supposed to be goofy and easily approachable. They should feel ancient, strange, and beautiful. And I would suggest using music and lighting to heighten the emotional beats at your table. Now, there is the undead, not only the parents of Sir Chide in the tomb, but also Sir Chide himself. So you have this undead thing going on, and I've always personally likened the undead with the Fae, and they should be just as perplexing to mortals. They should evoke the same sort of fear and curiosity. At least that's how I play it at my game. They're not just goofy dwarves from, Snow White from Disney, they can be deadly and downright terrifying. So anyways, at the end, it gets into the epilogue, how you can wrap things up, and then the magic items that are there, and even the mushroom effects. There is a bag of mushrooms, and you can roll randomly. So good fun. Map of the fairy prison and the tower in the center here. Winter's Daughter isn't just a dungeon. It's a love letter to a style of fantasy that's often forgotten, wistful, haunting, and full of wonder. Is it worth it? Abso-motherfucking-lutely. Especially if you want to show your table that not all adventures have to end in bloodshed. Some can end in bittersweet beauty. If you've played Winter's Daughter, let me know your experience in the comments. And if you haven't, this might be the perfect winter tale to run next session. There's a link to this down in the dungeon. Go ahead and pick this up if you haven't already. I want to thank my patrons for making this video possible. Without their support, I can't do this. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. Thanks for stopping by Agranak Studios today, and we'll see you on the next one. Later.